Mere Conservatism.
Cleve Walker here and David Perry over there as always, and this is Mere Conservatism. David, what in the world are they doing?
Well, Biden is making it clear we're close. We're on the precipice of nuclear Armageddon. Mm-hmm. He's out saying that.
I know.
He's out talking about that. Is he doing anything about it?
No.
Doesn't seem to be.
And there's people scrambling to try to walk it back. It's too late. It's out there.
And he's repeating it. And so, look, the nuclear thing, that's bad. We really don't want that to happen. The United States is in this war. This is a proxy war. If you haven't noticed, we've been sending tons of money to Ukraine.
Oh, yes.
By the way, you remember a couple months ago when the discussion from the Biden administration was we don't want to do anything to escalate this?
I remember.
And there were a lot of things that we didn't do and we didn't send because we didn't want to escalate. You remember the stuff with the MiGs? With the airplanes and
like
the air
yesterday.
superiority, and we didn't want to get in that involved. We didn't want to escalate the situation. Now we send them $1 billion every other week to do who knows what with. We don't really know where all that's going. I actually believe, this is a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but I think a lot of that money is getting laundered. Okay. I don't know if I've mentioned that to you yet, but I think that it's hard to believe that some of that money is all going towards the war effort. I think a lot of it is going in the pockets of people here and in Ukraine. It's dirty, but they're sending so much money. And by the way, Cleve, I don't think that they've gotten congressional approval to send all that money.
Not that I can recall.
How does this work? You know, our country just doesn't operate the way we've been told that it supposedly operates.
Oh no,
Biden just sends the money,
right? And
there's no real end game here. So where are we going with this? Because all we're hearing is that we're close to nuclear Armageddon. That's what Joe Biden is telling us, and there's no clear off-ramp exit. What is going? There's nothing.
The purpose of the Biden administration is not to see Ukraine win this war. They need, David, to string things along. That's what they need. So they can bask in what they think is the glow of Zelensky, be seen as the hero. So he needs this thing to drag out, to stretch out, and everything they do is for that cause, especially into the midterms. He's got to be a war president in his mind.
In the meantime, this gets more and more dangerous for the world.
Right. It's all cosmetic. They need this war. They need something to talk about other than what's happening here in our own country. Plus, Biden needs to be taken as a real leader, which of course we know is not. So, but they need this war. They need Ukraine.
Unfortunately, what the United States would have to do in order to end this conflict is that they would have to tell Zelensky, buddy, you're going to have to make some concessions. In other words, you'd have to come to the table, and Russia wouldn't get everything they wanted, and Ukraine wouldn't get everything they wanted. But guess what? Russia would get some of what it wanted,
right.
And that would have to happen. But the way this has been set up is that if you say that, you're pro-Russia, and now you're evil.
Right.
So they have boxed us into a corner here. Look,
we boxed ourselves into this corner.
My issue with this, Cleve, is not that. Look, I think Russia is completely wrong with what they did, but let's start thinking a little bit about our interests. And Biden has, by his actions, he has increased the United States' interest over there quite a bit because of all the money they're pouring over there, because of the economic impact of the world, because the United States they're not producing oil and things like that the rest of the world needs, and so that's an issue over there. Now, if there's a nuclear conflict in Europe, we are now going to have to be involved. There's no way around our involvement is going to be if that happens.
I don't think Biden and the Democrats wanted to get to that point, but I'm really saying in their mind they need it for now. And they won't talk diplomacy or anything like you're talking about until they are finished with using it. As the backdrop, what we know is a failed Biden presidency. So,
well, they're the way they've set this up, making Zelensky the hero and the villain being Putin, they're not going to be able to politically go and say, Zelensky, you're going to have to give some stuff up. They can't do that. It makes them look totally bad.
Right.
Which, at some point they're just going to. The right thing to do, right now, if you're President Biden, would be just to look bad, just to take it upon yourself, take the hit, and say, we got to end this because it's getting a little too hot. And there's a lot on the line over there right now.
Well, that strategy certainly worked for him in Afghanistan, because if he can survive that, you know what I'm saying?
There's no, it's like this policy has no direction.
None.
It's a very haphazard, very patched together. It's dangerous.
It's like everything else they do, though.
Yes.
I mean, seriously.
Just kind of flapping in the wind out there.
On the domestic front, on the foreign front, it's all about, like you said, just piecing something together, reacting, and just doing.
What direction are we heading in? No, there's no direction. We have no idea what's going on.
No end game. Now, this is something I know you probably expected, maybe more than me. I wasn't thinking about this. The Treasury Department Inspector General has confirmed in a letter to Democratic leaders that their agency is planning to audit whether spending by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on migrant flights was improper. So they're asking the Treasury Department to look into whether Florida improperly used the American Rescue Plan funds for those migrant flights. So I knew they were going to come at him. I didn't think they were going to come after him this way. You're surprised?
Yeah, well, I am a little surprised. It's creative, but what I'm not surprised about is that they're using federal agencies to attack a political opponent.
Gotcha.
So I'm not surprised at that at all. I mean, this is the Democratic playbook all the way back to Clinton, really.
Right.
They're going to do this. Certainly Obama did it. Not surprised at all. The government under the Biden administration is not a friend of the people. And this is a really big problem when it comes to the way the Department of Justice is being used against pro-life advocates. And
oh my goodness.
I don't know if you've been following
huge.
any of these stories about these people, these pro-life advocates that they pray outside of abortion clinics and things like that. They're being raided by the FBI and arrested and taken away. This is happening. Now you've got the Treasury Department, among many others, investigating DeSantis and the state of Florida.
Not to mention what you're doing with President Trump.
Yeah, these are DeSantis, Trump, pro-life advocates. These are enemies of the state at this point. And it is a corrupt government that we're dealing with. And I don't say that gleefully. This is really bad situation.
Oh, no. They're not even trying to hide that.
This is a corrupt government.
With the media as complicit as it is, they're not trying to hide the fact that what you're saying is true. They don't care what you think anymore. They're out and out in your face. And once they finish hiring these 80,000 plus IRS agents, you wait until they turn that loose on you.
I mean, they've got the DOJ going after parents who protest transgenderism ideology, transgender ideology at their schools. They've got the DOJ is certainly a big weapon right now of the left, and you've got all the other agencies joining hands and doing the same thing. They are, in some ways, Cleve, they're at war with the people of this country.
You got it. And the only thing between us and them now are the governors, like DeSantis, like the Abbott of Texas and others. And now I believe they're getting ready to take them out, talking about Biden and company. I mean, this is just the first step. Now, because DeSantis is being too successful. Do you know, got all the electricity back on, Florida, still damaged, but on the way to restoration and renewal. They were hoping this would be his downfall. They were hoping it would be his Katrina. But instead, it's showing he's an effective leader.
Yeah,
in every circumstance.
The disaster relief in Florida has not been a story at all. You haven't heard about it at all, and there's the reason you have not heard anything about it is because DeSantis is doing a great job.
That's it.
If there was bad stuff to say, trust me, it would be everywhere. Now, my dad just got back from disaster relief in Florida. He went down for a week with the Georgia Baptist Disaster Relief. And just south of Sarasota, they camped out at Sarasota First Baptist Church.
That's
there.
Great.
And he ran the chainsaw for a week, repairing roofs, cutting limbs, hauling debris, things like that. And he says there's a lot of work to be done down there, but that it's going very well. And there's he was telling me a story about bucket trucks from other parts of the country coming in and being able to be there to restore power and stuff like that for people. So yes, it's obviously it's a disaster, but it's being handled the right way, and you know that that's the truth because you're not.
Otherwise,
you see it everywhere. If it wasn't the case,
if it's off the news, it means they're doing good. If it's on the news, they found something to harp on. That's the only way that would get reported.
Did you see the screenshot of Ron DeSantis standing in front of the podium that had the presidential seal on it?
I didn't.
Biden went down there to give a speech and talk about what a great job Ron DeSantis was doing, and he actually did. But he gave DeSantis a chance to speak, and there you could see the shot of Ron DeSantis with the presidential seal right there in front of him.
Don't you love it?
Yeah.
Don't you love it?
It's a good look.
Now, wow, how about this, David? Former Democratic presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard created that big stir on social media and everywhere when she said she's leaving the Democratic Party. I respect this gal so much. My only question is, why did you wait this long?
I didn't even know she was still a Democrat.
Yeah.
I mean, I really didn't. I thought that she had already done this.
I would have thought they would have found a way to kick her out, but they haven't. But in the video, she says she can't stay in a party that is run by an elitist cabal of warmongers, driven by cowardly wokeness and anti-white racism, among other chief reasons.
Yeah, what she said is really key to me because, Tulsi Gabbard is she's a very independent-minded Democrat.
Obviously.
And she's still a Democrat.
She reminds me of more libertarian to me than
she's wrong on a lot of things. Yeah. She is more libertarian, but she's wrong on lots of stuff. But she has been known. One reason she's popular and she has a cult following is because she will call out things like this.
Oh, yeah.
Like she will call out the Clintons.
Yeah.
And she will call out the corruption in the Democratic
the Clintons
Party.
Hate her.
They hate her. And I believe she was the one who basically ended Kamala Harris's presidential campaign.
Took her down during the debates.
If you forget that. And now she's calling them out as having a cabal, which I think is a good way to describe it. And she's bold in the way she comes out and says this stuff.
David, what I like is she's inviting other Democrats to do the same. She's telling them, she said, if you see what I see, come out of there. She's not telling them to come to a party or the Republican Party she's not starting her own. She's just saying, how can you stay right now in a party that is so out of whack, so clearly just oppressive? How can you stay? And I agree with her. How can you stay?
Well, and she has a following, I think, but I think that most of her following they're already libertarians.
Yeah.
And probably are not going to vote for Democrats. That's just my perception. I don't know that that's the case. She's also not an elected Democrat.
Right.
So the impact of this is probably going to be more about what interview opportunities she gets because she's doing this. But she did run for president.
Well,
she was an elected congressperson for quite a while there from the state of Hawaii. She has a good resume.
Mm-hmm. I think, though, this might turn out to be very politically expedient for her because if we get a Republican administration in a short time, she should be in it. Cabinet position or something. She could definitely contribute again to that. So, hopefully,
I don't know about that.
Well, hopefully the Democrats won't have any power after a while. Hopefully, so
she would have to adjust her views on the Second Amendment and abortion and things like that for me to want her in any Republican administration. I mean, there might be some role for her, but
I think there is. I think there will be. Again, I don't agree with her either on those issues, particularly abortion. But having said that, we are the people. Those of us who are conservatives and Republicans, we're the ones that actually have diversity. Mm-hmm. And she brings that additional proof to me. Okay, we're not asking you to be in lockstep. We're just asking you to love your country. And I believe this gal does.
I wonder if there's any sort of political movement she can be the head of in Hawaii to maybe help turn that state a little bit.
I don't know. Hawaii is almost as bad as California.
It's probably worse.
Liberal la la land.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, she was an elected congressperson there. Maybe there's enough libertarian-minded people there that something could change. If any state is going to have a chance of electing somebody who maybe isn't a Democrat or a Republican, a third party kind of person. Hawaii is probably a good candidate for that because there's not that many people there.
Possibly.
So,
well,
I don't know.
We'll see. I think she's got a future, but it's so nice just to hear her say. I have so little respect for Democrats who remain in this party now, simply because for the sake of power.
And it is very strange, especially the type of Democrats we had under Bush,
right,
and under Trump. That now, anytime there's a Democratic president, we have all kinds of conflict overseas and bad stuff, and the United States is involved, and they're sending pallets of cash or whatever, and Democrats are like, "Yep, yeah, that's good."
Other than her now, where she's left, I don't believe we have any so-called moderate Democrats. I Manchin, forget about it. He's an opportunist. He's not a moderate Democrat. He obviously do what you can do if you can get away with it, in my humble opinion. Not much use for that.
Yeah, I think most Democrats that I know about are like that. They just kind of follow the wind of the party, and the party's gone pretty far left.
Oh, it's gone way far left. They're wackos. Now,
just don't forget, Joe Biden is a centrist. And I mean it when I say that. I mean, he is a center. He is down the road, middle of the road Democrat. And look how left he is. That's how far left the party is. Yeah. He's center for them.
Isn't that amazing? Absolutely astounding. I know you probably already heard about this, but this really tickles me. I love things like this. A really feel-good story that we need right now. PayPal. A PayPal spokesperson told Fox Business that new PayPal user agreement that had threatened to fine users up to $2,500 if they use the service to, quote-unquote, promote misinformation, that was sent out in error. They're sorry about that. The updated PayPal acceptable use policy in November 3rd had an expansion of prohibited activities, which included ending posting or publication of messages, contents, or materials that meet certain criteria, their criteria. And it could have been $2,500 taken from your account by them, and now they're backing off. So, that was sent out by mistake. That wasn't because of the blowback. Yeah. Was amazing.
Yeah, if you saw the policy, it was basically a woke wish list.
Yeah.
And it was vague enough to where it was basically anything we don't like.
You got it.
Which, the woke standards, they change daily. So you never know what you're in violation of.
It's whatever they want to be.
And they were going to steal your money over it.
Yeah.
And people were like, okay, my money's coming out of there.
And not only just ordinary citizens, but former head of PayPal, of course, Elon Musk, who I didn't realize had co-started PayPal, and others just coming out against it. I mean, David, that gives me hope because it's that kind of blowback that I think is building up, and it's the only way we're going to get these people, especially I'm talking about private industry and corporations, to back off.
Well, I'm thankful for the blowback, but it also makes me think about and realize the fact that how vulnerable we are to stuff like this. We rely on these services that our credit cards and our banks and our money exchanging apps that we use. PayPal is one of them, and there's lots of other ones. But you're giving these people quite a bit of control over your money and your ability to engage in commerce.
Right.
And this time there was blowback.
Right. But I'm just saying we need to continue. And this is important because it's the only way it happens. If we don't hit them in the pocketbooks, okay, if their ventures don't pay off for them financially, because none of these folks like PayPal are in this for real idealistic reasons. This is where the money goes. If they see it doesn't work that way, what do we say? Go woke, go broke.
Well, yeah, fight back while you can, because eventually everybody's going to have to get the mark of the beast to do anything. And I'm not.
No, I know you're not.
I'm just saying.
It's just interesting that you bring that up.
Look, you're seeing how that could happen.
Right.
As believers.
Yeah.
In church for many, many years. You have your weeks. We're going to do a series on Revelation, and we're going to go through all the symbolism and what everything. We're going to figure out what the third pinky toe on the seventh beast at sunrise with the ring and what all that means. And you wonder. At least I did when I was a kid, reading a lot of this symbolism. How is that going to work? How are they going to?
How can it happen?
How are they going to pull that off?
We can't do that. Yeah,
you're seeing now.
Yeah.
exactly how something like that can get pulled off. The ability to buy or sell and
we're not only
participate in commerce.
we're not only
You're seeing the social credit scores and things like that China uses.
right.
That kind of thing is how they do it.
Well, we're seeing also how the global thing comes about, because it takes a global government to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And for years, it was hard to see how that could happen. But now we're seeing it happen. We're seeing Europe and we're seeing other nations consolidate under a single idea. And there's a cabal, we used to laugh at this, but there is a cabal planning world control.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it happen.
It's amazing to me that it takes a lot less imagination now when you read Revelation than it used to.
What I meant, when I knew we were in Revelation territory, David, when it started to happen, and you brought this out, we're living in a time now where our conspiracy theories are too tame for what is really happening. I'm serious. I used to be accused of a conspiracy person, but now what is happening right now makes a lot of our conspiracy theories look like, just moused up, no biggie. I mean, it's just that. So we got to do what we can do while we're doing it.
And that's a key point.
Okay.
We know it's coming,
Mm-hmm.
and it is coming. There's no way around that. But we need to do what we can do to stem the tide. We need to do what we can do to be salt and light. The principle of salt and light, you and I have talked about very often
several times
this program. That's our role. That's our duty. It's wrong for us to sit back and resign ourselves to what is coming.
Right.
And because we don't know exactly when is coming and what's coming and when some respite will arrive, and we need to do what God has us to do, has us here to do. We're here for a reason.
Definitely. And David, attitude check here. That's the reason why we shouldn't be fearful. The attitude that the enemy, the cultural elite, they want to cow us into fear. So we're afraid to speak, afraid to say what's on our mind, our heart. As people of faith, we're afraid to venture into the public arena. All right? That's how they advance. Now, eventually, I believe the world goes to hell in a handbasket anyway. But we're not supposed to be just waiting here or sitting around and saying, okay, we'll just stay hunkered down in our own Christian bubbles and we'll wait this thing out or until Jesus comes. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's the wrong attitude. As a matter of fact, our attitude ought to be more like Tulsi Gabbard, who is now, she already had her target on. Yeah, call it out. Call them out.
I agree. There's a couple things that happen. The backlash against what PayPal is doing, the backlash against what the transgender ideology is doing to our
Forgot
people.
About that.
The backlash to what is happening in the world as far as the powers that be and stuff like that. It encourages others. So you're not as alone as you feel like sometimes when you keep your mouth shut. And even if you are alone, you got to stand up and put your foot down at what is right. Yeah. You just have to do that.
Staying in that realm, theological realm for a second, I believe that one day we will stand before our Lord Jesus and give an account. That's what we did during the time he gave us. And I believe he'll ask us about it, our stewardship as Christians. I believe he'll ask us about it. And I actually believe he'll ask this question to Americans, American believers. What did you do with the vote that I blessed you with? I blessed you with a nation that had freedom like no other. What did you do with it? Mm-hmm. What are we going to tell them? That's what I'm thinking about. If I'm concerned about something, I'm concerned about what will happen, what I will say, what will the Lord say when I stand before him. Did I use all the benefits and blessings that he bestowed upon this country for him? And then when it was taken away, did I stand up for him? What do you say?
Well, I hope that we can all say that we did everything we did to steward our citizenship well.
Yes.
And if we need to evaluate that often and make changes if necessary, if we're not doing what we can.
One time in the book of Acts, the Apostle Paul was thrown into jail and whipped. And he revealed to them, his jailers, that I'm a Roman citizen. And what they just did to me is against the law. And it said when they found out he was a Roman citizen, they were scared.
Yeah.
And
Paul used his Roman citizenship
Right.
to advance the gospel.
It wasn't about the citizenship thing. It was about the blessing of having it to advance his faith. And he told them, the leaders had him thrown in there because they wouldn't let him go. He said, listen, no, you come here and let us out.
Quite assertive of
Yeah.
it. You're supposed to be kind and gentle and
Bodacious,
sweet
wasn't it?
And turn the other cheek, Paul. Come on.
But it was all because he could not let that citizenship blessing that God had given to him be questioned. And I say as Americans, we ought to have the same attitude. Wow. Okay. David, anything else you want to throw into the mix?
I'll throw something else into the mix.
Okay.
You talking about Paul in the book of Acts.
Right.
How about Amos?
How about
Amos, first of all, famous for his cookies. The best baker in the Bible.
Cut that out.
Famous Amos.
All right.
In the book of Amos, he's prophesying to Israel. You think you're so successful. You think things are so good. You've got wealth. Things are going well. You got prosperity. But there's rot underneath.
Wow, you're
and
right.
you are just about to pay for that.
You're right.
And you read the book of Amos and see what he's saying to them about how everything seems fine, but it's about to collapse beneath their feet. I think that we could probably say that about the United States of America.
We could. Except I'm praying for one more season of restraint.
One more season of restraint. We need to pray for that, and hopefully the Lord will bless us with that. But don't think because things seem okay. You have a good job, and you got your kids in private Christian schools, and your church is doing well, and you're reaching the area around you. And so watch out. Be vigilant. Do the right thing, and be ready for what comes.
Great note to end on, David. As always, folks can hear this again.
Check it out on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, all that jazz. We
always welcome your input. David Perry, I'm Cleve Walker. Thank you for joining us. And remember, it's not over with yet. Keep the faith. Bye-bye now.